Yuting Zhu. She's an assistant professor of marketing from National University of Singapore. She received a PhD in management from MIT. She's an expert in machine learning, AI. Just various interesting papers about strategy, how to use LLM, GenAI for marketing strategy. So today she's going to share new research about the use of LLM, GenAI for how we research online.
Okay, thank you, Kusuke. Thank you everyone for still staying, though I know it's not for me, it's for you. So I'm very happy to share some insights, the recent research that I do from the other side of the world. So basically, the data is from a Chinese company, the whole team is more Asian specific, but I think the problem that we focus on about this, how generative AI is changing the search, the whole search framework is a global problem. Okay, so the first question, what is generative search? So inspired by yesterday's Google speaker, then I downloaded this video from Google. Let's look at it. Okay, so basically that's an illustration. I think probably all of us have experienced this kind of generative search, which is, I also quoted from the IBM about like generative search, what is a combination. To make it simple, basically it's like we integrate the generative AI in the search format. And from the front end, kind of the product presentation, it's more like now, after you enter some search query, probably, as in the video, you will first see some generative AI brief answers to your query. And then, after that, we'll present some standard search results. So here, that's also kind of the generative search that we focus on. So there are many discussions now in the social media, in the newspaper, about it seems that generative AI is transforming the search forever. Why? Let's understand probably about what's changing in how consumers do. If we do not look at data, we just think about it. So the traditional search, which is basically, I think Google making money for this 10 to 20 years, is called the keyword space, right? So from the consumer's perspective, in the beginning, probably we already have some questions or some needs, as Artem mentioned in the early morning, right? Some concerns. And then, for example, in this scene, where I can get some relax, work, and get some good coffee. Then, before like the generative AI, right, in previous days, if you recall yourself, I try to frame my questions probably into some explicit needs. What I want. Okay, then let me define myself. From my question, what I want is that I probably need a cozy space. I probably need some good coffee. This needs a quiet environment. That is, I try to get some keywords from my concerns, from my questions. And then that's where when I enter Google, right? I come to Google, then let me search, okay, probably like cozy coffee, and then quiet coffee, and also good coffee. Then hope for that maybe some of the results that can meet my underlying needs or underlying problem that I set in the first stage. And then we will see some search results, and some maybe satisfy your initial problem, and some maybe not. So I remember when I was in my undergrads, I always feel like consulting. I remember the consulting company, they always say that you must be very good at research ability. And then one thing I remember at that time is that I thought, okay, research ability is basically about how can I think of the correct keywords that I entered into Google so that I can get some results for my boss, the question that I'm really interested in. Okay, now with generative search, as we showed in the beginning in the video, the difference is now you don't need to think about keywords. It seems that you can just enter like your initial question, right? Like you can just enter where like can I relax and get this great coffee, and then you can see the generative AI. Then you do further stuff. So basically, this research question, this research whole project is very simple. We just feel very interested in this new search paradigm, and then we ask two questions. First, whether this new generative search effective. I will define more about what's the effective meaning in our context. And second, if it is proved effective, so how does the generative search now change consumer behavior? To give you some more idea about the research context, so the company we are collaborating with is a leading Chinese technology company that operates as an e-commerce platform for local services. I have more illustration in the next slides. So give you some idea, it's founded in Beijing and now is already listed on the main board of Hong Kong. Actually, it's a super large company which report revenue around 47 billion USD in 2024. For the local services, so actually it covers everything. So like the food delivery, hotel and travel booking, movie and event ticketing, bike sharing, and various these lifestyle related offerings. Okay. I always say, if you are Chinese, once I show this picture, then you know which company it is. So, but let me explain to you for our friends then who probably don't know the Mandarin here. Let me explain one by one. So we collaborate with their main products. It's basically a super app that provides the platforms for these local services. Then this is their homepage. So in the homepage, there are 4 sections. In the first section, at the top of the homepage, it's basically you can search. And then you can enter whatever thing that in your mind, any search query. And then after that, this search will be conducted across all product and service categories. That is, it may be including restaurant, hotel booking, whatever, all categories. Then display the results to you. I have a next slide to show you. And then the second part is then, if you already have some idea, for example, I know I want to do delivery today, I want to find some restaurant, you can also click on each of the product or service categories to explore. Okay. Also, I think as we mentioned in the morning, recommendation is also an important feature for this platform. So they also at the homepage have the promotion recommendation, have the personalized recommendation. So let me be clear, for this project, we only focus on the first function. That is, all the results that you will see is the purchase, clicks, whatever, is the traffic entering from the top function. That is the function, the search functionality that covers all the product and service category. Okay. Then, what is a typical consumer shopping process? For example, if I enter from the top search bar. So it will be like this. For example, if I search Peking duck, by the way, that's my favorite. I strongly recommend to all of our American friends. If you don't remember anything, I want you to remember that. Okay, so Peking duck, right? The Peking duck. So the first thing you will see, this is the second page. Basically, you enter your search query, and then the platform, the algorithm will give you some other suggested keywords query. And then after that, you can either keep to your original search query, or probably you change to, maybe you choose one of them. After you decide, then you move to the third page. So in the third page, it's typical to some other, this kind of search-based platform, like TripAdvisor. Then a search ranking result will be shown. So as in the search page, it's like showing some Peking duck restaurant. And then here, as to all of the other platforms, so you can filter. You can change the ranking based on location, rating, whatever, and you can also maybe research, whatever. So, of course, there also exist some sponsored products or sponsored advertising, which I will mention later. So, about the key metrics that our product team or our algorithm team focus on. Okay. So then, in this page, one thing you notice is that if you see the picture, actually on this search page, you already can make a purchase. Okay, on this first page, the product, then you can purchase that. Or if you can also click on a specific product. And also, by the way, I recommend this Peking restaurant. If you happen to visit Beijing, it also has some the Beijing Opera that you can see. Very interesting dining experience. So coming back to this thing, you can also click into a specific merchant. And then you can see more details about this restaurant. Now, of course, you can purchase a specific package, like the food package, right? So you can also see more recommended dishes. You can see the detailed reviews. Okay. Then for the team that we collaborate with, the major metrics for them to evaluate is then the final purchase. That is, no matter what kind of algorithm thing I do, the product change I do, the key metrics I want to focus on is to increase the purchase from the search channel. By the side is then similar to other platform. If you cannot increase purchase, you can increase the clicks. That is the click-through rate. That's also good. So then in our evaluation, that will also be the two key metrics that we focus on. Clicks and purchase. Let's see whether it is effective. Okay, then to investigate whether the generative search is effective, then we conducted a field experiment. So the field experiment we do, simple. I would say it's like control condition. We keep it as the default. In the treatment condition, then we don't change any algorithm. That is the search algorithm, no change. Recommendation algorithm, no change. We only added this additional part. This additional part that is generated from the Generative AI algorithm. I will mention more. So to give you one example, so basically, what's in this answer? Like for example, now you answer some query, then this AI, the domain AI will give you some answers related to the search query. For example, in this case, the search query is to where to go for a couple state. And then the GenAI will give you some, for example, like Western cuisines, or maybe leisure experience, or maybe natural sceneries. Also, for this setting, so they put it kind of, when they train the AI model, they have two fixed format. That is, first part is something brief answer from the AI. Second part, which is also this kind of relative search. We also conducted some robust analysis to show that very few traffic actually from the relative search. Okay, so that's the treatment. Let me mention more about the experiment design. We run experiment for a month, from September 5th to October 5th. So the full-scale experiment actually involves around 6.5 million customers, with half assigned to the treatment group, half assigned to the control group. That is, this is a user-level field experiment. Which means, if for example you are assigned to the generative search group, then in the experiment, I will mention, when your search has some ambiguous query, then you will see this generative AI results. Then if you are assigned to a keyword space, like no matter how many search you have, then you will see the traditional one. So for all the analysis I show you, I'm sorry I cannot show you all the results because we are only granted with a small part of the data. That is, we only have access to around 90K randomly select consumers, half from treatment group, half from the control group. Okay, let me mention more about the treatment group. Is that it's not, okay, no matter what you enter, then you see the generative AI results. So there is a separate algorithm, which they call it the intention recognition. That is, I will first recognize your intention. Only when I recognize your intention as an ambiguous query, which is defined as no clear keywords, then I will trigger the generative AI to give you the brief answer that I just showed you in the previous slides. Okay. Then the generated results actually generated using the company's domain-specific large language model. To put it simple, basically we use the open source large language model, basically 千问, then we fine-tune them using our domain data, so that the final fine-tuned large language model is suitable for our specific search setting. So based on, we don't have the published evaluation result, but based on the insight test, actually it can give reasonable performance. But of course, we didn't spend too much time in further improving the generative AI performance, because as I mentioned, the main idea we want to test is just changing this product format, have this generative AI, whether it's effective. Then if it's effective, we can always invest more in doing further improvement. Okay, and as I mentioned, all other components, including both the back-end search and recommender algorithms and also the front-end design, remain identical across both conditions. Okay, now let's see the specific data we have. We have several demographic data about the consumers, like their gender, bachelor degree, university students, or their total earnings, sensitivity discount promotion, recent purchase frequency, and consumption level. So for the first three, it is optional to enter this when you log in, when you register your account. By the way, for this platform, if you want to use, you must register using your phone. That is basically, we can track, we can link all the sessions for specific user ID. Okay, and then for the other four, there is a separate data science team that basically analyze the user and then have some inference from their previous data. But basically, you can see the customer data used across all the functions in this company. Okay, we also have their session level behavior data. For these 90K consumers, we have around 1.5 million session behavior data with 754K for the consumer in the treatment and the remaining for those in the control. So here, the session, the definition is basically the process that you open the app until you stop engaging with it. So here, stop engaging with it, actually the team already spent lots of time in defining what is engaging. That is based on many measures. For example, whether you close the app or whether maybe you keep idle on the same page for a long time. So basically the session here should be relatively accurate. Okay. Then for each session, what are we going to observe? We document the search query entered, document whether the consumer browsed the search results, the merchants shown to the consumers on the search ranking page, whether the consumer click on a specific merchant, the merchant's products or the service categories and their brand, and also lastly, whether a purchase was made in this session. Okay, so this is the summary statistics, give you some idea. We also conduct the randomization check. It's just no problem. Let's see the results. So this is basically the main results that we find. To summarize, generative search increases purchase. At 70 yen, so basically this number actually in the company is a large number, right? So it's around, that is for under generative search. In terms of the number of purchase, this is at the user level. That is for each user, we aggregated across all the sessions during the experiment period. Then we can increase in terms of purchase around 0.04. Okay? Then, but you can see clicks decrease a lot. Right? So it's basically the first and the second column. It decreased at the order of 0.48. So we also calculated the proportion between the purchase and clicks to see conditional per clicks whether we have some increase in the purchase. And the answer is yes. So then next, we move to the second question. Basically, this answers if your metric is purchase, like in this setting, so the primary goal, then yes, it's effective, though it decreases click a lot. The next question, what changes in the consumer behavior to lead for this increase in purchase? So we first look at the consumer search behavior. So here, from here, then we move back to the session analysis. That is now one observation is one session. And then the outcome we look at for this table is either the number of search query or the number of distinct search keywords. Okay, so for all the analysis, we take the log of the Y and also control for the day fix effect, control all the controls. It's fairly robust, the results. Okay, if we consider all sessions, then we can see under generative search, the number of search queries and also the number of distinct search queries increase. Okay, at a percentage around 0.2%. Okay, if we conditional on only look at the purchase session, it also increased. Okay, which means that it seems that consumers spend more time in thinking about what should I search. Okay. Then for the browsing and exposure, that's the next behavior we move to. Basically, on the search ranking page, anything you can do. You can search, you can browse the merchant's page. That's basically our team also tracking that to see after you search whether you really kind of to browse the ranked list. So this is kind of a browsing behavior. So we count number of the browse search list. That is, though consumers spend more time in enter the search keywords, enter more search keywords, but actually the number of the browse search list decrease. Even after conditional purchase, we also find this. Another thing then we look at is, because you browse the list, then you probably can see the merchants, right? Then for the merchants, we also can already develop an algorithm to see it's like which merchants you have browsed. So here, of course, we cannot control for the consumer attention. That is, if you want to see, you definitely can see, but we cannot track your attention. Okay. So then for this, we can see for all sessions and also conditional purchase, we also observe a decrease. Question?
Yeah, just a clarifying question. Can you explain why you're doing conditional purchase? It seems like it's really important, but I just want to understand why you're looking at that.
Why conditional purchase?
Yeah,
I will. So we want to look at, for example, for the sessions that also include purchase, then whether there are also some behavior changes. Conditional, maybe like, for example, some consumer just open the app. I just randomly browsing. Okay, I don't really have a purchase intent. Yeah. Okay, that's about the browsing and exposure. I'm sorry, I should change the title. This page is about the clicking behavior. That is, we look at the session, and then we look at how consumer changes their behavior at the clicking behavior. So we count two measures. One is, by the way, I forgot to mention, we also look at some, like the merchant's category, brand, all of this is aligned with the number of unique merchants, no change, okay. So we also look at clicking, then we look at the number of clicks and also the number of unique merchants clicks. So if we look at all sessions, so the number of clicks decrease, but if we conditional purchase, actually there is no change. But if you look at the unique merchants that was clicked by consumers, actually for both the purchase session and also all sessions, it decreases. So then this suggests, my takeaway from this analysis is then under generative search, consumer changes in their consumer behavior. It's two things. Consumer become more focused in refining their search intent. And then, because they are spending more effort in defining what I want, then also they explore fewer options due to this precision, the search intent. Okay, so we are also doing now some analysis on who are influenced more by this generative search. One robust finding I can show you now is related with education. That is, if we think about it, so maybe, for example, if I have attended college, then maybe I'm already very good at think about keywords, maybe I'm less influenced, so we check whether really education plays a role. So here, what we find is that consumers with the higher education levels tend to search more queries, so here, higher education level that you have attended college, compared with who have never attended, then exhibit less reduction in browsing and clicking behavior, and also make more purchases. That's all about our current finding. I would treat our project as answering less questions instead of, I think it triggers more questions from my point of view. So when I think about the results, I ask myself, then what's the next stage of this generative search? Of course, the first question as a team that we mainly work on the algorithm is then, because here we don't change the search results. That's probably why, as a consumer, then I need to keep finding the new search keywords, then to find the restaurant or find the local service that I want. But if you can imagine, for example, now I have the generative AI, how can I also combine the generative AI with the search ranking result together, then design an algorithm or a recommendation? That's interesting. Secondly, I also do theoretical work. I'm also very interested in theoretically, how should we model this new search process? And also, the team actually very interested. Though for this team, let me say, advertising, that is a sponsored search, is not their KPI. But of course, there exists another team. So their main goal is just to increase the sponsored search revenue. Then it seems that now that business model, so though this is not a major revenue for this company, but again, it seems the sponsored search, we need to rethink about that. Also, that's another experiment actually we are running now, is that we want to be more aggressive. Aggressive meaning that, how about let's remove the traditional search pattern. We change it to a fully conversational AI assistant. Like I think yesterday we saw we also see the Google, right? They present now just using a fully conversation. You ask, I give you recommendation. will that be helpful? Or maybe this more like an intermediate phase that with some generative AI, with some search is better. And also, so many questions I think exciting for this topic. Thank you, and I'm happy to listen.